to notice. I just felt a difference with this.
Get a wide variety of all your daily recommended servings of whole fruits and vegetables without having to leave your home. Right now, Balance of Nature is offering free shipping and 35% off on any new preferred order. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and use discount code CHICAGO.
Get the best sleep of your life. Helix makes personalized mattresses to fit your unique body type and sleep preferences. Go to helixsleep.com and get up to $200 off during their holiday sale.
7:36 in our Team Hochberg Traffic Center. Here's Jim.
In Bartlett, there's a crash at 59 and Stearns Road on the inbound. Kennedy. Delays start at Cumberland. It's a 27-minute trip, O'Hare to downtown, 14 from Montrose, 10 on the Express. Outbound 21 minutes to the airport. The inbound Eisenhower. It's heavy starting around Manhawk, 42 minutes, 390 to downtown. The outbound travel time is 29 minutes. On the Stevenson, we're looking at 32 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Delays start at Central. The ride from 95th to downtown is 18 minutes. I-57 good. Bishop Ford, that has cleared up. Northbound Tri-State traffic slow in pockets from Reagan Tollway to the O'Hare Oasis. Southbound delays are Deerfield delay Cook with crash in the right lane. That's traffic. I'm Jim Talamonte. On AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. In our AM 560 weather center, sunny skies, high of 76, clear and 49 overnight. Currently 60 degrees. Next news coming up at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560, The Answer, online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, and your Alexa-powered smart speaker, on TuneIn, iHeart, and radio.com. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. The slow suicide of New York, starting to get data in from some of these big cities that are practicing whack-a-mole lockdown policies or just committed to lockdown. About 1,200 restaurants have permanently shuttered since March. The city has around 600,000 fewer jobs than a year ago. The projection is about one-third of the city's small businesses may never reopen. The Metropolitan Transportation Authority, which operates the subways, is hemorrhaging $200 million a week. Nobody, it seems, is going anywhere. And this, sort of a first-person account with the statistics overlaid. I talked a couple weeks ago about San Francisco, where the suggestion is that only 46% of the businesses that were operating pre-COVID are still operating in San Francisco.
And did you hear the news here in Chicago, the latest? Ruth Chris Steakhouse.
Yeah, gone. I mean,
besides Southport Lanes and then a number of others that are just teetering on the brink.
You're talking about
thousands of restaurants.
Just radically altering the landscape and the diversity and the cultural offerings and the size of the business community in these big cities where you have mayors committed and governors committed to lockdown and bust, and that's what the policies are. Against this backdrop, the president says no new COVID relief until after Election Day yesterday.
But then he had a late-night tweet.
I must have taken a look at what that did to the Dow.
Yeah, we're down. But basically he wants to help out $1,200 stimulus checks for families, help out the airline industry, the restaurant industry, and retail.
Well, okay. Well, that's sort of like talking about the component parts of a COVID relief bill. And then what about schools, and particularly within that school funding, scholarship funding to advance school choice? So maybe we'll throw that in too. Okay, well, now we're right back to where we were before you made the pronouncement yesterday. Steve Moore has another way to provide COVID relief. He joins us now to discuss it. Steve Moore, economist, Wall Street Journal columnist, author of Trumponomics. Steve, thank you for being with us.
Hey, guys. Good morning. By the way, did I hear Amy say that Ruth's Chris is closing down? That's my
Yes.
favorite steak joint.
Well,
I love Ruth's Chris.
Well, there are others around the country. You're just not going to be able to enjoy it in Chicago. But no, I mean, the
Right.
sign of the times, as you well know, you write in the Wall Street Journal of an alternative approach the president and Congress could take in terms of providing COVID relief.
Well, I was trying to point out the absurdity of spending $2 trillion. And by the way, shame on both of you and Amy for calling this a stimulus bill. Government doesn't stimulate anything but government.
So I think I said
And
relief.
so, they want to keep spending more and more money, and they want to help the businesses that are sick by taking money from the businesses that are healthy. I mean, that doesn't make
Right.
a lot of sense to me. But what the point of my piece was, people don't have any concept. And it's hard to figure out, the difference between $1 million and $1 billion and $1 trillion. These numbers are so gigantic. By the way, $1 trillion is $1 million, so it's a lot of money. And they want to spend $2 trillion on all these government giveaway programs. I said, wait a minute, let's just look at this rationally for a minute. With $2 trillion, we could suspend the income tax, the entire personal income tax and corporate income tax for an entire year in the United States in 2021. Now, imagine what a rocket ship this economy would be next year if we impose no income tax. And so I was just trying to give a sense of people how foolish. Instead of that, they want to pass out money like candy. In other words, they want to collect the $2 trillion and then have the government pass it out. And I think that's pretty stupid.
But in the here and now, Pelosi wants, $400 billion for blue states, and then there's 20 Republican states that don't need any money at all.
Exactly. I mean, I just made that point on Fox News this morning. I mean, the real big hang-up, and Trump is willing to go along with about $1.5 trillion package, which I'm not even in favor of that. But it's not like he doesn't want a stimulus. He does. He just refused to.
You just use the word stimulus. You just use the word stimulus.
You got me.
You're fired.
I'm guilty.
Eject
I am
button.
guilty of my own. You got me, Dan. But he wants to spend and borrow $1.5 trillion, and Pelosi wants to spend and borrow $2.2 trillion. The hang up is that Pelosi insisting on $450 billion for Illinois, for Connecticut, for New Jersey, for New York, for California, for Rhode Island, for Massachusetts. By the way, what's the similarity in all those states? Oh yeah, they're run by Democrats that have run their cities and states into the ground. And it is true, Amy, that there's about 15 to 20 Republican states that have already balanced their budget. By the way, Florida is totally open for business today. Did you know that? Florida's open for business. Georgia is open for business. Texas is open for business. Utah is open for business. Why not Chicago? Why not New York City? I mean, I was looking at a photo of Times Square yesterday. It looks like a ghost town. There's nobody. You can't see anybody within 8 blocks of Times Square, which used to be the most crowded area of commerce in the world.
So what happens with respect to? I mean, that doesn't sound. Once upon a time, $700 billion was a lot of money. But if he's willing to go 1.5 and she wants 2.2, and these state bailouts, and by the way, $450 billion wouldn't be enough for Illinois alone, much less including all those other states. But but so how does this? Your conversations with Kudlow, the president. Where do you think this goes? Are they, is this all posturing, moving towards a deal by, say, week's end?
Hard to know, Dan. I mean, I was surprised by the president's announcement yesterday. I mean, this guy does have whether you like Trump or not, the guy's got a spine of steel, and he does know the art of negotiating. And he wasn't going to pay this ransom that Pelosi saying we're only going to give you, $1.5 trillion for, programs that people want if you don't, unless you give $450 billion for the states and cities. And incidentally, it really shows that the Democrats are truly the party of government. I mean, what they care most about is government employees, because all that money would go to government employees. And I'm in favor of helping private sector employees, the private businesses that you were talking about. The main point I'd like to make, though, to you guys is it doesn't matter how much money the government throws at this problem, unless you get those businesses open by having the government stand down and saying, look, people can make their own decisions now about whether they want to send their kids to school, whether they want to go to a restaurant, whether they want to go to a sporting event, those kinds of things. Why 9 months into this do we still have the government telling us what we can and can't do? I mean, I'm very libertarian on this. I think people should be able to make their own decisions and not have politicians tell us what we can and can't do.
Despite, this is sort of folded in, but despite all of the specific discussion and obsession over COVID, over street violence. Recent surveys suggest that the economy is still the preeminent concern of most voters. So in tonight's vice presidential debate, what's the line of argumentation we should expect and you would like to see from Mike Pence, and what's the case to prosecute against Kamala Harris and Biden by extension?
Well, I think first of all, I mean, it could not be a more stark contrast between these two candidates. I mean, it's two totally different visions of America, and I think Pence has to really lay it out in a way that Trump did not do it very effectively in the first debate. He has to say, look, if you actually think a $4 trillion tax increase, because that's Biden's proposal, $4 trillion. By the way, I look back at every single Democratic platform going back to 1960 when John F. Kennedy ran president. That includes John F. Kennedy, Lyndon Johnson, George McGovern, Dukakis, Hillary Clinton, Kerry, Obama. None of them had tax increases near. By the way, Kennedy ran on tax cut. But none of the others had a tax increase near. We used to laugh at how liberal George McGovern and Dukakis were. They were not. They'd be considered conservatives compared to where Biden is today. And I think that's a point he has to make. You cannot rebuild an economy with $4 trillion of taxes. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. And anybody with a kind of ounce of common sense, you don't have to have a PhD in economics to know now would be the absolute worst time to take a hobbled economy and put $4 trillion of taxes on it? Come on. And by the way, there'd be small businesses and American corporations that would pay that tax, employers.
So how do you see this ending? I mean, President Trump, of course, he pulled the plug on COVID relief negotiations, then tweeted last night, I think, after the market, went into a spiral.
Yeah.
Did he do that because of the markets crashed so precipitously, or did he do it because he really meant that this is what he wants Pelosi to do?
I think a little bit of both. I mean, look, let's be clear about this. All Wall Street cares about is easy money. They want the federal government to spend and spend and spend and borrow. They're addicted to that. They want the Fed to keep printing money. That's not the solution to our problems. I mean, wouldn't it be a wonderful thing if we could solve all our problems by just printing money down? I mean, wouldn't that be wonderful?
So easy.
And a loaf of bread will be $35 before we know it.
Exactly.
Like
but
Germany.
we'll have all this money.
Yes.
Yeah, right. It'll be like that. But that really is. I'm surprised, by the way, that people in Wall Street still believe this stuff, and all they care about is the stimulus. You've got a Wall Street economist, a major Wall Street economist, who's saying a $4 trillion tax increase would be good for the economy because we're going to take from people who are producing things and we're going to give it to people who aren't going to be producing things, and then they'll go out and buy things. So, well, there's not going to be anything to buy. Nobody's going to produce anything if you tax everything away that they have. I mean, we've got to help the people who are producers. That's why my feeling is, look, do the payroll tax cut because that gives the money to the people who are working, and Democrats want to give the money to people who aren't working. Is this somehow that's going to get the economy going? This is really, truly, it's an important election, not just because of what's going to happen in the short term, but whether Americans really believe that a massive government and a massive tax is going to solve our problems. And if if voters vote for that, we need financial literacy in this country. We're not teaching people about money and finance and things of that nature. But I think in the end, I think in the end, people are going to reject that vision because people do have common sense.
Steve Moore, economist, Wall Street Journal columnist, Trumponomics author. Steve, thanks for joining us.
Okay, guys, have a great week.
And we
Bye.
enjoyed the green tie. It was lovely. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Listen to Dan and Amy on your smartphone. Download the AM560 mobile app today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
The following is a paid political announcement.
Today's world requires first-hand knowledge of real international working. As a successful international businessman, I have achieved many goals and made many business friends abroad. International business can rebuild the middle class by creating the infrastructure to support small businesses through economic development funds and international expansion. I'm Dr. Willow Wilson. Vote for me. Send me to Washington. God bless.
Paid for by